After you finish grinding your toon in SWG to level 90, it can be hard to know what to do now to get yourself more ready for endgame content. One of the major things you'll want to consider is buying your skill enhancing attachments, or SEAs, for your crafted armor sets, clothing, and weapons. I've seen many people be confused about what SEAs are, why they want them, and why they're so expensive. And this guide aims to solve some of that confusion. Attachments come in two flavors: 35s, which modify your base stats of agility, constitution, luck, precision, stamina, and strength, and some special case stats like block value and camouflage. And then there's exotics, which modify other stats like specific weapon damage, critical chance and glancing blow, and more. 35s can go on all armor, clothing, or weapons as attachments, but you don't want to do that all the time. Let me explain. Exotics can only go on your armor's breastplate, your shirt, and your weapon. Since these attachments are much more powerful, you'll always want to run exotics in your breastplate, shirt, and weapon, never 35s. 35s can go on your other clothing like pants, shoes, gloves, bandolier, and hat. They can also go on each of your armor pieces like leggings, boots, gloves, biceps, bracers, and helmet. The stat modifiers and exotic modifiers are why you want the SEAs. These stats will greatly boost your character and make you much more formidable. Let's run some numbers quick, shall we? Let's assume you play a DPS commando. A suit that I'd recommend for that would be 9 armor 35s for your boots, leggings, belt, left bicep, left bracer, right bicep, right bracer, gloves, and helmet. And then you'd want 1 exotic breastplate attachment, 1 exotic weapon attachment, and 1 exotic shirt attachment. For 35s, I'd recommend Constitution, Luck, and Precision. That is 35 times 9 for each stat, which means with 35s you'd gain 315 of each stat. What that exactly means you can find out on the SWG wiki. For 300 Constitution, you'd gain 2,400 health and 600 action. This will make you significantly more tanky, able to take more hits before you become incapacitated, and could mean all the difference in letting your heals or damage mitigation abilities come back up. For 300 luck, you'd gain 1% dodge, 1% evasion chance, 30% evasion value, 1% critical chance, 1.5% strike through chance, and 30% strike through value. This stat gives a blend of some good defense stats like dodge and evasion, as well as some good damage stats like strike through and critical chance, boosting both your survivability through damage mitigation and boosting your damage through crit and strike through. For 300 precision, you'd gain 1.5% parry, 1.5% block chance, 3% critical chance, and 1.5% strike through chance. Again, you gain a bit more survivability. Parry isn't super useful on Mando, but block chance will help more. Plus, you get more critical chance and strike through chance to boost your DPS. If you purchased a full suit of these 35s, it would mean in total you gain the following skill modifiers, which you did not have at all before: 2,400 health, 600 action, 1% dodge, 1% evasion chance, 30% evasion value, 4% critical chance, 3% strike through chance, and 30% strike through value. That's a ton of stats and a massive boost to your character. Let's move on to exotics. For a DPS Mando, I'd recommend heavy weapon damage, heavy weapon crit, and critical chance for all 3 of your exotics. That would result in 6 heavy weapon damage, 9 heavy weapon critical chance, and 6 critical chance. Again, this is a great boost to your damage and you will feel the difference between no exotics and with exotics when you make the purchase. Of course, depending on your playstyle, you may want to swap things in and out of your exotics, or even have different exotics you play on different equipment that you can swap between, depending on the scenario you're in. I recommend you look into each stat on the SWG wiki to determine what stat makes the most sense for your character and playstyle. There's also plenty of class-specific guides in the SWG Legends forums for you to glean some info on what 35s and exos you might want to run on your specific class. Obtaining your 35s and exos can be a little difficult, but it all depends on how much you're willing to spend. One of the easiest ways is to go to the bazaar and search for them. They're under the miscellaneous category and then clothing attachments, and then pick the kind of attachment you're after. Use the attribute filter to get to the attachments that have the stats you want, find the cheapest price, and go and pick them up. If you can't find what you're after, or you're interested in saving some credits, you can look into custom ordering your attachments from an attachments trader. You can find these people all over, the forums, the trade channel, and the SWG Legends Discord, or I've even seen them advertising in the Isley Cantina. This option will usually result in delivery within a few hours or a few days, so it's not immediate, but you can usually get a cheaper rate per attachment going with the custom ordering method. This is totally up to you. I promised some explanation on the expensiveness of attachments. To understand exactly why attachments are so expensive, you have to know what they take to make. It's actually really straightforward. You need a first or second order power bit and a modifier bit for your first stat, a second order power bit and a modifier bit for your second stat, and a third order power bit and a modifier bit for your third stat. These components are a little pricey. Let's do an example. If you were to buy the modifier bits for a 35 attachment that we mentioned earlier, you need a plus 35 first order power bit, which was lowest at 150k, plus 35 second order power bit, which was also 150k, a plus 35 third order power bit, which was 250k, a constitution modifier bit at 5k, a luck modifier bit at 5k, and a precision modifier bit at 1k. To total that all up, in components alone you need to spend at best 561,000 credits. Then you'd have to take these components to a proper trader. If you want an armor 35, you go to a munitions trader, a clothing 35, you go to domestics, and please never get a weapon 35, as I mentioned before, for assembly. and then you'd want to tip. So a good tip of 100k to the trader for assembly, and you're sitting at a 661k for an attachment if you did all the legwork yourself for assembly. That's why attachments cost so much. The components they take simply necessitate it. That's a wrap on my first video on the consumer's guide to attachments. I'm sure there's more I'll want to add to this, but I feel like this is a good place to start for most people to understand what SEAs are, why you want them, how to get them, and why they cost what they do. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye all.